is a serious pushback going on across the United States to this insane Citizens United Supreme Court ruling that says that corporations are mystical people of some kind and that money isn't property, it's speech. There are a lot of people pushing back, among them the Supreme Court of the state of Montana, and now the citizens of the state of Montana, and even better, the governor of the state of Montana. Governor Brian Schweitzer is on the line with us. Governor, welcome back.
Well, good to be on. Listen, you probably read in the paper here just a few months back that Walmart got themselves in big trouble down in Mexico. See, apparently they went down there and they were trying to build a Walmart, but the local people rose up against it because there were some archaeological things in that area and they didn't want it built there. So they spread some $20 million out to a bunch of politicians and they got their way. Well, they got themselves in big trouble back home. Not in Mexico because they had bribed people. They got themselves in trouble back here in the USA because in 1977, Congress passed the Corrupt Foreign Practices Act so that a private citizen or a American-based corporation can't bribe foreign officials. It's against the law. Well, with the Citizens United decision, the Supreme Court says, you dang right. We have a monopoly on bribery in this country. If you're going to bribe a politician, you corporations, you got to bribe an American politician. It's against the law to bribe them anywhere else. That's what the Citizens United decision has meant. And by the way, corporations, American-based corporations, are owned by people from all over the world. So now we have foreign money that's entering our elections. Perfect. What could be better than having, for example, the Chinese and the Latin Americans and the Russians buy elections legally in the United States?
Yeah, and recently one of our politicians, I think it might have been Newt Gingrich, was talking. No, I'm not. I'd have to go back and
I'm going to finish it for you. John McCain. Said,
it was John McCain. You're right.
That
Absolutely.
Adelson money is coming from Chinese casinos.
Yes.
So now we have Chinese cash, dirty, secret casino Chinese money buying presidential election. Perfect. What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? So, Initiative 166 is happening in Montana. Tell us about this.
Well, what we're saying is that Initiative 166 says that in Montana, all the way back to 1912, we've said corporations cannot buy elections. You're not allowed to use corporate money, and we've had low limits. Well, you've got Citizens United, these big shots in the Supreme Court. They say, Montana, you've been wrong. In fact, the Montana Supreme Court, they said, look, we are right. We cannot have corruption in our elections in Montana. And that decision by the Montana Supreme Court has been enjoined by the U.S. Supreme Court until they make a final decision on Montana's plea.
Right.
But so the interesting thing is what we've got is we have an initiative here in Montana, and that initiative does a couple of things. It reaffirms that corporations are not people. And, of course, I think we'll all believe that a corporation's a person when they execute one in Texas.
Right.
Until then, nobody's going to believe it. So in Montana, we say a corporation is not a person. That's what this initiative says. And then number two, we get it. We get it that if the Supreme Court rules that it's going to take a constitutional amendment, and so this initiative is going to be the Montana citizens voting to instruct the Montana legislators in Washington, D.C., our two senators and our congressmen, to get behind a constitutional amendment that says corporations aren't persons and they can no longer bribe their way into the White House all the way to the courthouse.
Right, which would imply that money, the other half of that is that the Supreme Court's assertion that money is not actually property, it's actually somehow speech. I've got a pocket full of speech here. And so you're presumably asserting that as well, that's a fallacy.
Let me tell you what money is in politics. It's power.
Yeah.
How else can you explain that somebody who's going to make $180,000 as a member of Congress has to raise $50 million to get elected?
Yep.
I'll get you a $2 calculator, and you run those numbers, and you've got to conclude that the people that are putting that money down are expecting something in return. And what do they get in return? The military-industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industry, the insurance industry, and others, they have now created a tax loophole system so they can gouge American citizens and not pay any taxes in the United States because they offshore all of the profits.
Yeah, we need a lot more. A lot more Democratic politicians talking like you are, Governor Schweitzer. We're talking with the governor of the great state of Montana, Brian Schweitzer. The website is governor.mt.gov, G-O-V. And, Governor, what you said that the Montana Supreme Court, which has said that this law that goes back to when the Copper Kings basically ruled Montana and used to openly bribe politicians, 1912, as I recall?
1912,
Yep.
we passed the Anti-Corruption Acts in Montana, which says corporations can't be involved in elections. They can't financially be involved. And then we put low limits. My gosh, to get elected to the Montana legislature, the maximum you can take from an individual is $160, and there's no corporate money. Well,
Wow.
that worked fine for us in Montana. We had a pure democratic system, one person, one vote, lasted for 100 years. Little did we know that we apparently were violating the Constitution, according to this bought and paid for United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, amen. And you said that they have enjoined this decision by the Montana Supreme Court that law not only is constitutional, but the Montana Supreme Court attached a long list of proofs of the harms that come from corruption in the history of Montana. Enjoined is fancy lawyer talk for basically they've stopped it, which means that, correct me if I'm wrong, which means that Karl Rove and his buddies can now bring hundreds of millions of dollars if they want into your state and dump it into any political race they want.
Dirty, secret, corporate, foreign money will be dumped in Montana's elections much the same as it is in the rest of the world. Look, we had our fill of it when our first United States Senator, William A. Clark, one of the two richest people in the world, the two copper kings at the turn of the century, Marcus Daly and William A. Clark, number one and number two, William A. Clark decided he wanted to be in the U.S. Senate. So in 1899, when Montana was able to first send our United States Senator, we became a state in 1889, he actually let it be known widely that he would give $10,000 cash money to any Montana legislator that would vote to send him to the U.S. Supreme Court. Remember, in those days, we didn't directly elect our U.S. senators.
Right.
And so he had his henchmen standing just off the floor of the Montana State Senate, and as they walked off the floor, they handed them an envelope, and there was $1,000 bills in them, 10 of them. They used to have $1,000 bills, and they put those in their pockets, and they sent him off to Washington, D.C. He got back to Washington, D.C. The rest of the Senate wouldn't seat him. They said, you can't pay $10,000 to a legislator to get elected. Why, we got in here for $200-300 per legislator. And it was Mark Twain who called William A. Clark the largest scoundrel in the history of the United States Senate, and then he followed by saying, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
So he bribed his way into the United States Senate, and they didn't like it that he was actually bragging about it in his newspaper, and that he gave the money to these folks in the light of day, and these legislators were bragging about the money that they got from him.
Right.
They
So the
said,
people rose
don't
up.
talk about this.
So the people rose up and pressured the legislature to pass this law in 1912 that the Supreme Court has temporarily knocked
Actually,
down.
in 1912, it was passed by referendum. It took the citizens to stand up. It wasn't even the legislature. They were bought and paid for. Why the hell would they vote against their own self-interest?
Sure.
It was the citizens of Montana who stood up.
Thank you for this history lesson. So where do you think this is going to go? I mean, the Supreme Court has put your state's law on hold.
Well, where it goes is probably in this election cycle, we're going to elect a few crooked politicians like they have the rest of the country. And now we effectively have two political parties in the United States, the corporate party and the corporate light party. So we're fixed up for good.
Yeah, not so much actually, but it seems to me that this might be a real turning point, though. I wrote a book on corporate personhood 12 years ago, and outside of law schools, nobody had any interest in it. It's now a bestseller. People are waking up to this issue.
Well, look, and people understand that we don't want foreigners having a role in elections in the United States. Everybody agrees to that.
Right.
Everybody agrees to that. But now what we've got is the ability of foreigners to buy in corporate stock. I mean, you can't limit the people all over the world. They can buy into corporations, and now you effectively have foreign money that are buying elections in the United States. Again, what could go wrong?
So well said. Governor Brian Schweitzer of Montana, thank you, sir, for being with us today.
Stand up.
Indeed. Good luck. Initiative 166 in Montana. If you are in Montana, get thee there. Thank you.